So I'll be completely honest, I don't actually remember this team all that well. I do remember that I'm actually using Crobat. That's the main focal point of this team. But Crobat is actually running choice specs. Crobat doesn't really have a really good moveset. Nor does he really have good stats. Aside from his speed stat, he doesn't really have very good, physically attacking moves. His attack is at like 90. So I figured I might as well just wing it, and I slapped on a choice specs on this guy, and I figured with his speed, he actually might be able to come up with a bit of a surprise against some teams. Aside from that, we've got some pretty regular folks. We got the Amoonguss, which is just running the usual set of, with Spore, Elite Seed, Clear Smog, and that other grass move that I use often. Just Hydreigon's there just for special attack damage. Blastoise is most likely a Mega Blastoise, but it definitely does have Rapid Spin to get rid of stuff. I have Weavile to be my fast physical attacker, and finally I have an Entei here. There was a time where I had an Entei, I don't know if it's this match to be exact, but I gave it an Assault Vest, and I gave it a bunch of moves like Will-O-Wisp, and something else that I couldn't use that was a real big mess. It might be this one, I'm not entirely sure. But in any case, I start out with my Amoonguss here, my opponent goes out into their Beedrill, and they immediately Mega Evolve, and go ahead and hit me with the U-turn as they get the hell out of there. Go out into their Blissey, who I hit with a Spore, managed to put that thing to sleep, get a little bit of HP back thanks to my Black Sludge. So I was like, fuck this, let's get out of here. I go into Entei because he's physical attacking. I figured maybe I can get rid of this Blissey, but obviously my opponent's like, get the fuck out of there. Brings out the Suicune to get hit with the Sacred Fire, which doesn't really do any damage. For whatever reason, I decided to actually stay in. I thought maybe this thing was going to boost up. I don't know what I was thinking, but I go for another Sacred Fire as my opponent goes for a Scald, which does a shit ton of damage. So I decide to switch out, go back into Amoonguss here. He gets hit with a Scald and barely takes any damage. And then from here on out, I figured I might as well expect a switch. So I threw out a Toxic, actually. I don't have these yet, a Toxic to poison this thing. He actually goes to sleep to get rid of his poison, and I just went for the Clear Smog, thinking he was actually going to go for Calm Mind that turn. But I'm doing all sorts of horrible predictions now. So I switch to actually go into my X-Bottle here. He goes for the Sleep Talk, gets the rest. I, being the smart folk that I am, go for a Specs Giga Drain, which does a good amount of damage after the critical hit. And then go the Sleep Talk. Sleep Talk Skull doesn't do much. I go for another Giga Drain, which doesn't do anything to the incoming Blissey. So obviously I gotta get the hell out of here, and I go here into Amoonguss, who gets hit with a Seismic Toss, but honestly barely does any damage to it. This Blissey here throws out the rocks as I hit it with a Toxic, which is, really pointless because once it switches out, it's going to lose things to its natural cure. But it goes out and uses Seismic Toss as I go out into my Blastoise here, who Mega Evolves, and then I hit it with a Rapid Spin to get rid of the rocks on my team. But unfortunately, I get Toxic thrown on my Mega Evolution here, which is quite unfortunate. I mean, quite honestly, I'm really happy to spin on rocks and to maybe do some damage with his high special attack, or the fact that it's a Mega Evolution. But in any case, I go to Entei, my opponent switches into Suicune, so we're in a shit fuck here. Go for Extreme Speed, but unfortunately, my opponent wakes up and goes back to full HP using the rest. So I'm like, well, shit. So I get the hell out of there, go back into Crobat here, get hit with a Sleep Talk Skull, and then get burned. But thankfully, it doesn't matter too much, because once again, I am Choice Specs, not Choice Bandit or at all physical attacking, so that works out good. After another good game, my opponent uses Sleep Talk into Rest, doesn't really do anything, and then switches out into Blissey. Once again, Giga Drain does do jack to Blissey, so I decide, crap, let me get the hell out of here. Going to Mega Blastoise, figuring he might use Stealth Rocks again. He actually goes for the Sophomore. It sucks. I go for the Warrior Spear, figured maybe I could do a little bit of damage, but of course Blissey's specialist tank of all special tanks, and it barely takes any damage. Hits me with a Seismic Toss, and the Toxic, I'm barely down to any HP. And then I switch into Weavile. My opponent goes thankfully into Soft Boiled, but after I go for Soy Sense, I get hit with a Toxic, which sucks, but I managed to go for the knockoff to knock off this Blissey's leftovers. I get hit with a Seismic Toss, which after the Toxic brings me down to 47%, which isn't too great. I go for an Icicle Crash on the incoming Suicune after the switch, but it doesn't really do as much damage as I really wanted to. I go for a knockoff, manage to finish this thing off, and also knock it leftovers, not that it matters, because now it's dead. And I'm left over with 4 HP, 4% HP, but again I get knocked out by the Scizor's Bullet Punch. I go here to Entei, hoping to scare out this Scizor here, and I was right. He goes actually into the Arcanine, where I hit with a Stone Edge, but barely do any damage. So I'm guessing this is some sort of defensive one. Thankfully I'm faster and managed to hit with another Stone Edge, which does a good amount of damage. I somehow haven't missed, and then I get hit with a Extreme Sweep, which does a good chunk of damage, and I finally get the critical hit on the third hitting Stone Edge, so that's pretty good, and I take out the Arcanine. After that, my opponent goes into Weavile, knocks off my Choice Band. I actually have a Choice Band, not Assault Vest this time around. I switched that over, which that kills my Entei, and then I go into Amoonguss and get killed off by Icicle Crash. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking there, but I go here into Crobat with Heat Wave to finish off the Blissey. I'm locked into Heat Wave, which is great because I can wipe out his entire team with that. But unfortunately, he actually goes into the Mega Beedrill and uses Knockoff to knock out my Specs, and after the burn, I kill myself, unfortunately. Otherwise, Crobat would have been great, but then I can't really do anything done. Go into Hydreigon, who dies to a U-turn, and then finally I just have my Blastoise here, who dies to a Poison Gem. So, you know, Crobat could have swept the entire team had I not gotten hit with a knockoff. I could have gone through Scizor, possibly, I'm pretty sure I could have lived off a Bullet Punch, and I could have definitely finished off the Beedrill with the Heat Wave. The only thing I would have had to worry about was the Weavile, which I could have maybe done something with the rest of my team. Probably not. Whatever. Stay fresh.